Hi, I'm Dawn Montefusco, Transformational Writing Coach, and this is the healing power of words. Create with passion and write powerful stories that have impact. And today we have a very special guest who I didn't even realize I was using his magical app, which I will tell you about in this interview. His name is Lion Goodman, PCC. He's a professional transformational coach, author, and subconscious pattern detective. He's the founder of the Clear Beliefs Institute, which offers programs to help people free themselves from limitations, blocks, and resistance in order to create the life they desire. Hi, Lion.
Great to be here, Don. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. You have no idea. You have some idea. We talked a little bit before the interview started. But tell us about any projects or things going on. What's going on in your world right now?
A lot, as always. I tend to be able to add things to my plate, but I don't know how to take things off my plate. But my plate keeps getting bigger. One of the big projects I'm working on now is taking my training, the Clear Beliefs Coach training, and moving it to a learning management system. So it's much more automated. People can go through it themselves. And that means our live classes will be much more open and I won't have to do all that lecturing that I
Oh,
usually.
that's great.
It's very exciting, and I've got a good team of people helping me with that. Students who have become helpers and want to make it happen. So it's going to be terrific.
Oh, that's fantastic. Good job. So you're really the dude when it comes to belief systems, clearing belief systems, and I think you're incredible at explaining belief systems. So, let's talk about that. How would you describe a belief system, first of all?
It is one of my favorite topics. You're right. So when most people talk about beliefs, they talk about it as if it's a mental construct, and
Mm,
that's the usual definition. It's something that you believe is true, something that you hold as real. And so from a mental concept perspective, that's a good definition. When I talk about beliefs, I'm talking about something much deeper. I'm talking about the infrastructure of the human mind.
mm.
So neurons are to a brain what beliefs are to a mind.
Oh, well.
And these are constructs that we put together not out of a thought, but out of an experience. So, for
Mm,
example, a baby who doesn't have words yet may be being taken care of by a mother who's not really connected to the baby.
mhm,
And this is standard attachment theory
mhm,
understanding. But the baby has to conclude something about why that's happening because babies expect to be cared for. They know they're out of control. They don't even have control over their body, and they need to be cared for in order to stay alive. And so, if the care is uneven, the baby has to like try like what do I need to do to get cared for. So for
mm,
example, it's going to try crying, and then it's going to try being quiet, and then it's going to try fussing, and it's going to find out what works and
mhm,
come to a conclusion about that. Now this is before words, it's way pre-verbal.
mhm.
It's experiential, and
Yeah.
the baby may come to the conclusion, if I cry and make a fuss, I get taken care of.
Mhm.
Now that's a really good conclusion for a baby.
Yeah,
It shows the intelligence of infants, right?
totally.
However, the way beliefs work is that once they're implanted and they start working for survival, they don't get naturally discarded when they should expire.
Mm.
So it should be like a label on meat. Eat this before
Yeah,
this date. This belief will work for you until you're 8 years old, and then it's
I
time to get rid of
wish.
it. And so you and most of our listeners probably know at least one person who's still crying and making a fuss in order to get cared for
That's
as
great.
an adult, right? So that's the nature of beliefs, is that they're formed out of our experiences. They become the platform upon which we build our personality. They become filters that we look at the world through without knowing it. It's like having sunglasses on all the time, and somebody says, "Hey, take your sunglasses off," and they go,
Mhm.
"Whoa, the world
Well,
looks completely
totally.
different," right? Or here, try this kind of color instead of this one, and you go, "Whoa, that's a very different world." So that's how beliefs work. They're invisible to us until something happens that causes us to look and say, what is the filter I'm looking through? Why am I reacting the same way every time in this relationship? Or why do I not pull out the typewriter and start typing? I guess people
Hmm.
use computers, not typewriters anymore. So,
I have a typewriter still, but
oh,
that's
good.
just
I
fine.
love typewriters.
Yeah.
So there's a pattern. That's why I call myself a subconscious pattern detective, because there's always a
Mm.
source for whatever the surface behavior is, and the source is down there in the construct called the belief system.
And how are words? Because this is words are beliefs,
Yes, they
right?
are.
Tell us more about that.
Good. So I may look as there's all kinds of beliefs, right? Some beliefs are neutral. So, for example, when you say that is a cat, it
Right.
doesn't have much emotional charge. It's what we call a fact, right? But what the mind is doing is it's associating a certain sound called cat with that kind of animal. And you can see this in children when they're developing language, when they're starting to use language. So a mother says, "Oh, look, cat, cat, cat," and points out different cats. And the child goes, "Okay, that's what a cat is. That's my experience of these different animals." And then the child will learn that you point and you name something, give it the same name. So the child goes, "Cat." And mother says, "No, no, that's a dog."
Mm,
Now, so the child's now making a distinction between cat and dog and has to figure out, and the mind does this automatically. It's not a conscious process.
totally.
What makes it a cat? What makes it a dog? Right. So every word is a belief. For example, what is a dog? The dog, we have biological definitions. We have look definitions. Some people go, "That's no dog. That's a big rat." You know,
Yeah, yeah.
so so every word is basically a belief structure. It's a sound that we associate with a concept.
Hmm.
That concept is then used as a filter to see the world.
Hmm.
So
And like
people
you
who
said
are
something in an interview about like the meaning making machine,
yes,
right? That
yes,
the brain is a meaning making machine. So when you say a
exactly.
word, it immediately starts to make some kind of a meaning.
Not only that, but the words we use are like filters we see through. So if we're using certain words, we're only going to see certain things.
Oh,
And
wow.
right. So every word is a kind of defined thing. So if we take the universe and say, what is the universe? It's a highly complex, everything happening at once. There's no way to describe it, right? So a belief is basically taking the whole universe and narrowing it down into a little box and saying that's what that thing is. Because
Yeah.
a dog's not just a dog, it's interacting with the environment, with other dogs, and with,
Hmm.
with the plants that it's around and peeing on. And so,
Yeah.
all like it's part of a whole system, right? But we separate it out and say that's a thing. We thingify
Yeah.
it, we reify everything. So even we'll take a process like, being in love and having a life together, and we'll put a label on it called marriage. And
Hmm.
then we have a whole bunch of concepts about what marriage is for me. I use the word as a way of communicating to you, to transfer a concept to you, and
Hmm.
you take it in, but you've got your own concept. So my
Hmm.
word marriage is completely different than yours is, and I can't know how you're going to interpret it. It's like an artist who makes a piece of art and say, "What does it mean?" Say, "Well, what does it mean to you?"
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
In some
Totally.
respects, yeah.
I have a lot. So many people come to me and they say, I want to write. And after I talk to them a bit, I'll say, so as a writer, and they go, oh, I'm not a writer, or am I a writer? And I said, well, do you think like a writer? Do you take notes? Do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? And everyone like has their own idea based on their schooling, their teaching, their family. A writer. Someone once said something about, I forget what they wanted me to write, like a website on engineering, and they said, well, go ahead, you're a writer. And I was like, whoa, that's like asking an engineer who made an iPhone to fix the elevator. Like so writer has a big charge apparently and a meaning around it, and I have to get people past the belief that, in the knowing that they actually are a writer, if that's fair to say that, in order for them to then get past the resistance of being a writer. So I'm really catching you here on all these, the way the mind will take these words and create. Wait a second, I just want to say this because I love this, which means that every single human being walking around has their own belief system that they're sort of making true because they kind of have to make it true because that's all they know.
Yeah, beliefs, all beliefs are self-reinforcing because, so if you
Wow.
have the belief life is hard, that's
Yeah.
a deep belief. We're talking about core beliefs. You're looking through the filter called life is hard. So everywhere
Right.
you look, what you see is hard life. Now, if
Right.
you change that filter and said life is joy, guess what you'd see?
Joy.
You'd see joy everywhere.
Absolutely.
Right. So all beliefs are limiting. We talk about limiting beliefs, but all beliefs are limiting because we're taking the universe, the whole system, and narrowing it down and saying no, it's this. It's just this thing.
Yeah. It's remarkable. It really is. I'll use money because it's such a charged thing. And I remember, oh, this was years ago. It's probably 5 or 6 years ago. Uh, and I really I mentioned a bad breakup, and it was a really bad. It was hard times. Hard times. That's actually how I found your app about clearing beliefs and anxiety. And I'll be telling everyone about that before the show is over. However, I was on the phone with a friend of mine and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. This breakup has really messed up the financial situation, da 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 da. And I said something about money, and my friend literally, I don't know how he said this with such authority, like such authority at the right time in the right way. You know, how it got in. And he went, "Oh, don't give me that. Money is everywhere." And it just took this little girl from the Bronx who you had to work a 9 to 5 and real hard, and it was always going to be difficult, and money was difficult, and all this. And it like almost didn't want to compute because I couldn't take it in, and I did. And when I saw this whole concept of like, oh, don't give me that, money is everywhere. Like that's. Are you safe? You know, you okay? What's going on? And I literally was like still recovering from some shift that I had from words about this thing called money. And then it went even further when I realized they were numbers. And then when I realized that, well, nature is numbers. And then I had this whole recalibration of numbers. And I thought, I think I just shifted a belief system. And
It,
sure enough, eventually my business started to get better. So I have a question though. It is, how does our language, like I mentioned though, but it becomes a prison, but how do we get released from the prison? What do you recommend?
well, I recommend clearing your beliefs because that's what I teach and that's what I do. So the first step is of anything is like wake up to it and examine it and look at what's there. So
Gotcha.
I have a process that I give away called the belief self-diagnosis, which is basically a way to look at your beliefs and see what's underneath the conscious beliefs that you have. What are the
Yeah.
subconscious beliefs? So, for example, with your audience, I would say, take a piece of paper and finish the sentence. A writer is fill in the
Ooh,
blank.
that's a good one.
And then when you'll write something will come to mind, and you write that down, and then you repeat it. A writer is, and then something else will come to mind. A writer
Mm.
is, and you just keep doing that over and over and over again until there's nothing left, or you get only repetitions. You may have 20, 30, 40, 50 different phrases that what a writer is, and some of them will have come from your subconscious mind that your conscious mind will disagree with. Like a writer is poor.
Right. Yeah.
No, I know some rich writers, right? But it was in there. It was down deep
Really.
in there, right? So you can do that with, what is a writer? What is writing? What is a book? You can do it with anything in any part of your life. What is money? What are finances?
Mhm.
Who are you? What
Mhm.
is God?
Yeah.
So and the my process entails, it just gives you like 25 different categories to do that process with. That's the beginning of the of belief change because you're bringing up from the subconscious mind
Mm.
what is actually driving you and what filters you're looking through.
That's amazing. You know, it's funny that when you said that, I wrote a writer is, and my brain went, well, yeah, but what's a real writer? And I
Oh,
was like,
there you go.
whoa.
So
I
you'd
was
write
like,
that down. Well, yeah, but
yeah,
what's a real writer? That's the
like
first
a
response.
real writer is consistent. A real
Uh,
writer makes lots of money. A real writer doesn't have to work half the year. A real writer, is quiet. I don't know. I can just go on and on and on. But I noticed that it shifted from writer to real writer. Like it wanted to argue with me already. That's
Exactly. And
great.
so that's all of that information is valuable. So that's what you want to do with this process is let whatever is there come up. And then you can examine it. You can start saying, all right, which of these are helping me? Which of them are limiting me? And what do I want to do now? Let's clear out the
Yeah.
things that are limiting or negative.
Beliefs are so fascinating to me. What about the big one? Like I'm unworthy, I'm not enough. Those are I would assume some pretty heavy duty ones that are probably coming up for a lot of people these days with all the time that they have. I'm finding that there's a lot of with unprecedented times, and people are stuck at home, and there's this edginess to who am I?
Yeah,
Would
giving
you
people
recommend?
space and time to actually ask that question.
Yeah, would you recommend this process for like big questions?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Um, and so you asked about the typical negative beliefs, like I'm not
yeah.
worthy. The one that I find most common is there's something wrong with me.
Wow, yeah.
And I want to give your listeners a chance to actually experience what it means to hold a different belief. So close your eyes and feel what it feels like to hold the belief there's
Mhm.
something wrong with me. Just say it to yourself as if it's 100% true. You're just trying it on like an outfit of clothing at a store. There's something wrong with me. And just feel in your body what are the sensations and what are you feeling, Don?
It's weird. It's like a little snake. It's like saying, "Ha ha 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 ha! I got you now." See, there that no matter where I go to look for it, it says, "No, no, 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 no. There's something wrong with you. You'll never figure it out. I'm in here. Like I'm just gonna be in here."
Okay, good. So now let that go. Take it off like an outfit of clothing that you decide made your butt look big or something.
Love it.
Good.
Wiggled it
And
out.
now try on a different belief. Feel what it feels like to hold the belief, I am a sacred and worthy being.
Ooh.
Say it to yourself as if it's 100% truth. Believe it and feel what it feels like to believe it.
Well, first, like a gold, like a definite sheen of almost like a peaceful armor. Like I wouldn't even call it armor. Like an essence of me that feels more real, um, and actually quite calming,
Yeah,
surprisingly. Like there's nothing to do. That it is okay. That everything is okay, which I was not taught as a child.
right.
So that is that just takes. I mean, that makes everything. It's almost like the eternal now. It takes the eternal now moment
Now,
and
everybody experiences something a little bit different, but there's commonalities. The feeling there's something wrong with me tends to get people to kind of collapse,
yeah, I could
pull
feel
back,
that little
right?
snake thing.
Because that's the core of shame. And
Oh,
and the
yeah.
problem is that babies are trying to make meaning. This is where we come back to meaning. They're trying to make meaning of what's happening. And babies, because they're narcissistic naturally, right?
Yeah.
They make it about themselves. So if they're being abused, or if they're being abandoned, or rejected, or controlled, or manipulated, or told there's something wrong with them, or the mother's changing a diaper and feels disgust, like, the baby's feeling it all and has to make sense of it, and babies tend to blame themselves for the problem. There
Mm-hmm.
must be something wrong with me. In
Mm-hmm.
addition to that, as they're growing up, if they have older siblings, they're looking around going, wow, they can feed themselves and I can't. They can talk with each other and I can't. They can walk and I can't. There must be something wrong with me.
Mm,
So this is a really deep core. And remember that the most core beliefs are pre-verbal. They happened
right.
before the conclusions that happened before words. So we use words to kind of get to them, but really the belief is at the feeling level. And what I showed you and your listeners is that different beliefs create different feelings. So
Yes.
here's a way to use it in reverse. If you have a particular feeling in your body, you can ask the question, what belief are you? and work your way back to what the belief is.
Ooh, I love that.
I'll give you a
Oh,
quick story. I went to a party once, and it was a party where I knew a lot of people were going to be there. And I walked in the door, and I immediately felt weird. I didn't know what it was, but it's like I had walked into like some kind of torture chamber or something. My body was just going ah, like that. And so I went, all right, something got triggered here, and everybody looked cold and distant, and kind of weird. And so I sat down in a chair right near the entrance. I closed my eyes, and I said, "What belief are you?" And I heard immediately, "I don't belong here." And I went, "Ah,
wow.
it's an old belief that I don't belong." So I did my process. I cleared the belief, put in a new belief. I do belong here. I opened my eyes, stood up, and everybody was friendly and going, "Hey, Lion, come on over." And
Yes.
it was a different party completely, right? That took about 20 seconds.
Yep.
So once you have the technology for clearing beliefs, you can use it in many different ways. You can clear out whatever's in your way. You can create new things by creating new beliefs and clearing out whatever's limiting or whatever the mind says no you can't. So
Mhm.
it's powerful for manifestation, it's
Mhm.
powerful for personal change, and it's powerful for changing your attitude and your capabilities and opening your world.
I don't know where I read it. I think I read it in either one of your testimonials online, but somewhere. But someone said that he cleared out like 30, like maybe 300, I can't remember, but it was a lot, beliefs just by using this app that I'm telling everyone about right now. Um, I have a folder named anxiety. So you all know out there that the writing coach, the reason I teach this is because I have to go through it myself. And you can, I think it's like 4.99 or something.
Well, we just had to upgrade it based on Apple's
Mhm.
constantly changing their thing. So we only upgraded one, which is I Clear It,
Yeah.
and it can be applied to anything. So I Clear Anxiety isn't available anymore, but it's free.
Okay.
So it's now free.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll get the I Clear It then. I must have, well, anyway, they're all awesome. Use it. It works. So I Clear It. I'll put the link here on the page. And you have a great uh, free gift for us.
I
Uh,
do.
Tell us
I
a little
do.
bit about it, and I'll pull it up here so people can see the cover of it.
Sure. The ebook is called Clear Your Beliefs. Very simple, and it basically gives a whole background and base understanding of what beliefs are, where they come from. Uh, oh, that looks good. Yeah, good looking cover. So, what beliefs are, where they come from, and what it means to change them. And what you had defined before, what you described as that sudden big shift,
Mhm.
that's transformation. That's
Mm,
different than insight. Insight is, oh, yeah, it really is that way, but it doesn't get fully embodied.
right.
And my processes are all based on a full embodiment of the belief and a full embodiment of the clearing of the belief and a full embodiment of the creating of a new belief that works better for you, that's in alignment with your life and your goals. So the Clear Your Beliefs book has that belief self-diagnosis exercise at the end. And so it's a way of beginning that process of uncovering what's in the subconscious mind.
This is so important for my audience. I want everyone seriously to read his book, look him up. Do you do I mean are you offering courses, one-on-one coaching? What's going on these days?
On the Clear Your Beliefs website, clearyourbeliefs.com, we offer a 7-part recorded program that you can
Awesome.
use to clear your beliefs. You can also add coaching. All my trained coaches
Right.
are available to help people through that process. So there's those different levels. Yeah.
Fantastic. It's really fantastic. So like I said, all you writers out there and your writers, if you're stuck and you don't know why you're stuck, and I think especially people over 40, I feel like in some weird way we start telling ourselves, oh, it's too late, or now is not a good time, or I should have done it sooner. Well, we got nothing else to do for a while. And now is the best time in all of human history, I think, to be a writer and to use our words. But first, we need to clear the words in our head so that we can show up in the world the way that we were meant to show up. So, thank you so much, Lion. What you offer the world is invaluable information. And I think you're just a dream. So, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Don. It's absolutely a pleasure, and I hope you have me back.
I will for sure. We'll do all kinds of fun stuff. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye.